Hello Internet and welcome to the Collective Arcana. We're a channel all about tabletop gaming, and today we're going to continue our series on the Pathfinder 2nd Edition core classes. Today we're going to be talking about the Druid. So the Druid is a primal spellcaster. The key ability score is Wisdom, so that's what will get boosted by the class. It's going to help your saving throws and things like that. You're going to get 8 hit points per level, and you're going to be following very much the traditional spellcaster progression here. This is not like the War Priest, although it does have... It's not like the Cleric and the War Priest where you've got the split thing. It's very much like the Cloistered Cleric and most of the spellcasters, all the spellcasters going forward. So you're going to begin trained in Perception. That will go up to Expert at 3rd level. You'll be trained in Fortitude. That becomes Expert also at 3rd level. Trained in Reflex saves, which will become Expert at 5th level. And you're going to be Expert at Will saves, which will progress to Master at 11. For skills, you begin trained in Nature, as well as 1 skill based on your order, which we'll talk about in a little bit. You'll also get additional skills equal to 2 plus your intelligence modifier, which is on the low side. For attacks, you are trained in unarmed and simple weapons, and that will go up to Expert at level 11, and at level 13 you'll actually get the weapon specialization for just a little extra damage there. This is going to help you, especially in your wild forms. You're also going to begin trained in unarmored, light, and medium armor, and that will go up to Expert at level 13. The Druid is trained in primal spellcasting attacks and DCs, which will go up to Expert at level 7, Master at 15, and Legendary at 19. And that's pretty much it for your base proficiencies and their progressions. The Druid is maybe a little weaker on a lot of those, but what it lacks in proficiencies for its saves and things, it's going to make up very much in its options and abilities. So where do those come from? Those come from your Druidic Orders. The first order is the Animal Order. You're going to be trained in Athletics, and you're going to gain an Animal Companion, which is something Druids and Animal Companions and Minions in general we probably should do a video on, just to sort of give an overview on how those work. But functionally all you really need to know for now, we'll do the video, is the Animal Companion is something that you can sacrifice 1 or more of your actions to give it a couple of actions, and depending on how you progress that Animal Companion, if you progress it, it gains some unique ways that it can help you in battle besides just being another little body on the field. They can become a lot more powerful than a summoned creature, and can be used in conjunction with a summoned creature. So it definitely adds a lot of options to your round, and in terms of being multiple places at once functionally by having these minions that can accomplish tasks for you. You'll also gain the Heal Animal Focus spell, so that you can keep your Animal Companion in fighting shape throughout a combat, or after combat. The next order is the Leaf Order, and it's going to get Diplomacy as its trained skill. It's going to get a Leshy Familiar, which is a little strange now that Leshy is a playable ancestry, but I guess the idea is that this is a lesser creature, doesn't have quite the sentience of a full Leshy ancestry character, but that's going to come with all the benefits of having a familiar. There's quite a few, and from delivering touch spells to storing additional spell slots to any number of things. The order spell that you get with the Leaf Order is Goodberry. There is an updated errata version of it, but the gist of it is you can catch, or you can gather berries with survival check or whatever, and then you can imbue them with magical energy, and they act as healing potions, and then you can hand them out to people, either one person can eat one or all of them to gain whatever healing is in there. So a healing focus spell is really good, really rare. The only thing that really does it is the champion with their lay on hands, which makes the druid certainly have a lot of options for being a sort of go-to party healer, or at least a supplemental one. Especially since it does get heal on the primal spell list. Will it ever be as good as a cleric? Probably not, but it does have all the tools that it needs to keep a party going to the point where you wouldn't need a cleric or a champion or anything like that. Like, it could be your functional healer, especially if somebody else in the party picks up medicine. The Storm Druid is exactly what it sounds like. It's all about the most destructive properties of nature. So you're going to see a very powerful, as far as focus spells go, very powerful focus spell for damage. It's Tempest Surge, so electric damage. It's got a nice little rider on critical failures. It's very strong. And it doesn't count as an attack, which means it's not going to suffer your multiple attack penalty, which means it's a great thing to throw out, if you, for example, are, taking advantage of the fact that you can perform combat. You can do a hit with your admittedly low roll, but then follow up with a really nice, no multi-attack penalty, damaging spell. You'll also become trained in acrobatics. This is important because the idea is, especially at higher levels, that a Storm Druid is going to be flying, so that's why you want the acrobatics. You'll also gain the Stormborn Feat, which will mitigate some of the penalties that you might take from perception caused by all the storms that you may or may be causing. So it's definitely the offensive class, or the offensive subclass in terms, or the offensive subclass in terms of your spell casting. It's the one most focused on spell casting so far, probably. The Leshy, I guess, is the healing side, but this is very much the damaging side of your spells. Finally, we have the Wild Order. And that's going to give you the other big quintessential druid ability, the ability to wild shape, to turn into an animal. It's going to make you trained in intimidation, which makes sense. You want to be able to roar at people as a bear and make them frightened. One thing to note is that this wild shape is going to start you with pest form. Not very impressive, but you get feats as you continue to go that will add more and more types of creatures. You can get an aerial form, you can get a insect form, you can get up to dragon forms and things like that. But what's interesting is, let's say you have dinosaur form and flying form, now you have pterodactyl, so the way they interact is, I think, really fun and interesting. You also gain the Wild Morph focus spell, and this allows you to, instead of fully shifting into an animal, sort of shift just claws or other parts of your body into not just an animal, but into a leaf shape, things like that. So a little variety there if you don't want to become a full monster, but you want some of the benefits. So that Wild Morph is very handy. Overall, these orders are, I think, pretty well balanced, and add a lot of variety to the way you're going to play the class. One thing to note is that each one does come with thematic anathema, so if you're an animal order, you can't just, you can't abide wanton killing of animals, killing to survive is one thing, in a fight against the creatures, and even killing to, hunting for food is one thing, but to, waste the meat type thing and killing animals for no reason or for sport is, not what you're into. The Leaf Order is all about, helping civilizations, cities and towns that neighbor nature, to understand how to, harvest what you need without, encroaching too much, but also preventing the animals from encroaching too much in nature. It's very much the sort of warden type. And that's why it has diplomacy as an example. So, these are all not too difficult to keep pace with, to keep in a party. You're not going to be causing huge difficulties with your anathema, but they are thematic and they're interesting, and I think it's a lot of fun to have those anathema, just those little role-playing guides here and there to help you find the character and make certain situations that might otherwise not be memorable at all, potentially be something that sticks with the party because of your character's specific reaction to it. In addition to the orders, we're running out now of Druid class abilities, but you also get shield block, which is, maybe strange, but you'll, you can frontline, especially if you're getting those bestial claws with wild morph, or, just to take advantage of maybe an actual martial style with that animal companion, because that flanking bonus that you can get with that animal companion can, make up for the lower attack bonus you have with your weapons. You also get wild empathy, which will allow you to perform some diplomacy actions with animals. And what's cool about that is it specifically states that most animals will give you the opportunity to at least state your case. So, if you're about to be attacked by a lion, you might get a moment to at least try to talk that lion out of attacking you or your party or whatever. All very druidic, all very fun. The druid is one of the classes that I think best fits the ideas of what you have going in to what is there, whether those ideas are coming from other games, other tabletop games, 5e, D&D, or first edition Pathfinder, or if you're coming in from video games or any number of media. You're going to know what you're getting with the druid, and you're going to get it. With that said, some of you may be saying, well, what about I think a druid should be able to animal shape and have an animal companion. Well, the great news is that those orders are not nearly as rigid as some of the other classes and their choices, because with a second level feat and then a fourth level feat, you can get both the bonus feat that they start with, as well as the order spell that they start with. So by level 4, you can have a whole second order ready to go. So if you just need to be able to turn into an animal and have an animal companion, you're going to be good to go by second level or fourth level, if to get everything. And that's really cool, and that's really strong. Just the ability to create exactly the druid that you might have in mind. And that's what I meant when I said that they give you all the tools to realize what you're expecting, almost no matter what that thing is. So I really like that. In terms of the other things that these feats are going to give you, you're going to have feats to advance your animal companion, of course. An animal companion advancement, which, like I said, we'll do a video on your minions, your familiars, and your animal companions. But, you're not just giving it more HP or anything. It will sort of stack, or it will sort of advance with you by default. But what you're going to be doing is giving it these sort of assigned templates. So you're going to be, is it a stealthy animal companion? Is it a charge forward and start trouble animal companion? Is it a mount animal companion that you use primarily to get around? That sort of thing. And that's really cool. That's really neat. Just the way that you can make that animal companion very much your own, so that you don't need to keep, in some other games, you might need to keep getting a new animal companion to better fit the levels of challenges that you're dealing with. But here, your animal companion can come with you all the way, which is really good, because the idea is you're going to get attached to that animal companion. There's also options to get wild shape to turn into, like I said before, other creatures, dragons, dinosaurs, elementals, all that stuff. But extra fun, you can also, with just a level 4 feat, you can wild shape into another humanoid creature. So, it's the ability to look like anyone is pretty cool. You can also gain a whole lot of new focus spells and things, ways to boost your summoned monsters, make them a little stronger, at least a little different from other summoned creatures. And there's just a wide range of them. I feel like the Druid, more than most other classes, maybe has the widest net that it's casting as a class. And it's got the feat support to get you there, which is great. Up to and including, at 20th level, you can turn into a kaiju, which is pretty interesting. Which is just like a Tarrasque, like just a gargantuan wild creature. So it's pretty fun. Also at 20th level, one of the options is to make it so that spells of a certain level, I believe it's 5th, don't cost spell slots, so you can keep casting them basically like they're cantrips once you've got them prepared in your slots. So very cool, very powerful potential, and that especially illustrates how well the Druid is at the Blaster archetype right now. It's probably the best in the game, which, as somebody who loved Blaster Wizards in the past, that's sort of a bummer for me, but it's really nice to have that option somewhere. If it can't be Wizards, at least it still exists. Hard to do well, really, in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Single target damage is not something that the game had in mind for its spellcasters. You're much more expected to be playing support or mopping up large amounts of weaker enemies with your area of effects. But, with a great cantrip and that ability to turn higher level spells into functionally acting like cantrips, makes for a pretty good blaster, all things considered. So overall, how do we feel about the Druid? I think that with wild shape, with animal companions, with familiars, this is a class that has options that no other caster really has right now. They're not just effective options, though they are. They're also thematic and interesting options. And unlike many classes that do get thematic and interesting options, the way that the orders work, you can have many of them at once, versus like a wizard who can only have one favorite school and one arcane thesis. So that means that you can potentially have a massive number of options available round to round with the class, many of them that do not require spending any spell slots, but on top of that you get, as many spell slots as most other casters. So my overall impressions is this is a great class. It's very well built. It does what it needs to do, what it's intended to do, what it's expected to do, and it does it really well with a lot of options and room to either expand or specialize whatever is right for you and your character and your party. For me, I would love to, I would love for the Druid to be the standard for spellcasters going forward, in that, you have all these options. It's not really the standard in terms of what we already have in the core rulebook and the APG, but just that ability to pick up those other order spells is really appealing to me, and is something that I would like to see opened up as other options for the classes we already have, or considered for spellcasting classes that we have moving forward, but not just spellcasting classes. The Druid has more freedom than most other classes, with a couple of caveats, and one of them will be our next video, the Fighter, because the Fighter doesn't have any subclass. Fighter and Monk are the only two classes that I believe where you're not making these big rest of my career choices at a low level, and that's both maybe less interesting to some people, but it also means that every single feat moving forward for those classes, and for the Druid, because of the way the gaining other orders works, it means that every single feat that's ever released is one that can work for your character. And so I just think that's really cool and really fun, and I hope to see more of that in the build. Overall, love the Druid, think it's great. We just got one in our online game. We're running some tests right now, some play tests for the Summoner and the Magus, which, definitely check out the video that we did for that. We're going to do a couple more videos on that with our results, but, so we'll let you know how those new ones are performing against, the Druid, for example, which is solid. I think that's it, everybody. Thanks so much for coming by. Thanks so much for listening, and welcome to the collective, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much. Oh, and don't forget, if you like the video, like, subscribe, that kind of stuff. Thanks.